When I was a little girl, I loved to go visit my grandmother's house. She had one of those old Victorian-style houses with a lot of character, and I loved to explore the rooms and make up games to play. One of the rooms was her doll room. It was a small bedroom with a four-poster bed, an upright piano, and dolls. Dolls everywhere. The bed was covered in dolls. The shelves, hope chest, every surface had at least one doll on it. There were all different types of dolls, rag, wooden, china, and they were all obviously various ages. My grandmother loved her dolls, and while I was permitted to play with them, I had to be careful, and I had to put them all back where they belonged when I was done. But there was one doll that I was not allowed to play with. It sat on the back of the piano with a glass case over it. It was a china doll with silky black curls, an intricately embroidered dress, and soft blue eyes. Unlike the other dolls, however, its painted-on mouth didn't seem to smile. It always looked sad. I felt bad for that doll. I always wanted to cheer her up, but I had been forbidden to touch her. Instead, I decided to play her some music on the piano, and whenever I visited my grandmother's house, that's exactly what I did. I stayed in the doll room and played music to the sad doll on the piano. One time I'd been staying with my grandmother for a week, and on the day that my mother was supposed to come pick me up, I realized I had played every piece of music that had been set out. Eager to find something new to play to the sad doll, I began rummaging around in the hope chest and various drawers in the room. When I found nothing, I tuned to the piano and realized that the final cabinet was over the piano. That really was the best place to keep the music. So I climbed up onto the piano bench, but the knob of the cabinet was still out of my reach. I stepped my little foot up onto the piano keys, resulting in a loud, tuneless mash of notes, which my grandmother must have heard as she hurried to the door to make sure everything was okay. When she opened the door, she startled me. I grabbed the knob on the cabinet as I fell backward. The door swung open, hitting the glass case which covered the doll, and both the doll and the glass began tumbling to the ground. As I hit the floor, I saw my grandmother dive into the room and reach for the falling doll. The wind was knocked out of me, and tears filled my eyes as I grasped for breath. I heard screaming. I think it was my grandma, but I wasn't sure. I gasped and coughed and tried to block out the screams when I felt a hand touch mine. There was silence. It was a soft hand, a small hand, like mine. I jumped back and wiped the tears from my eyes. Before me stood a girl, about my age, with dark black curls and soft blue eyes. I looked around desperately trying to find my grandmother, but she appeared to be gone. A noise made me turn to the door to see my mother. She had come to pick me up, and she stood in the doorway with her hand on her chest, staring at the girl in front of me. "Sissy," she whispered. The girl ran to my mother, and I began looking around the room in confusion, not at all sure what had happened. When I noticed a doll on the piano, a new doll, a very unhappy doll, a doll that looked just like my grandmother.